the final frontier. Our final matchup of the day is going to be ZenAku versus RAISY. I just actually had to make sure I didn't accidentally mute myself again because I wasn't sure, but I dedicated. It's going to be a great match, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing how the day's going to conclude. It's been a wonderful day so far with so many players that are making that early lasting impression. You know, we were just talking about Strong Sage during the break, like we were really, really impressed with what he brought to the table. And I mean, this is just one of the shows, right? There's plenty more where that came from, and there's plenty more players to watch and cheer on. But ZSX, ZenAku versus RAISY. I mean, teammates going head to head and they practice together all the time, but now, you know, we're playing for keeps now, right? This is the one that counts.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just asked Venko who's going to win. He goes, I don't know. So I think that kind of tells it all, right? When he generally doesn't know who's going to win. And I agree that ZenAku continues to grow. I think there was a period of time where he broke in, got to a good level, then kind of found his position. But ever since then, he's been, particularly the last 12 months or so, just been continuing to develop. And now has really established himself as a top contender. RAISY, I think, reinvented himself last stage, and that made his performance drop off a little bit, but I feel this time he's looking a bit scarier than last year as well, which bodes well for the league.
Yeah, agree. I mean, in terms of if you're looking at the last few seasons of QPL, there's no doubt that people are going to put ZenAku way up there in terms of one of the most improved players overall, right? Having now the backing of Maestro, getting that really solid practice in, you know, not only with Avic for a long time, but then of course Wenger and RAISY. I mean, it's probably going to continue to just level him up even more. This match becomes real interesting, aside from the fact that Hell came into the QPL channel and said that contracts are on the line. So you've got that. But ZenAku is currently number 4 seed with a 3-0, and RAISY's number 3 with 2-1. Of course, that loss coming from Kilson. You know, picks and bans going to play a big part of this one, but I would say for both of these players, you know, whether team kill or not, 2 very strong players, and this will determine ranking, even though we're still pretty early on, right? Because it's one of the tougher matchups that both of them are going to have throughout the regular season.
Well, it's funny that you should mention picks and bans, Wheat, because just so happens that we've got them ready to go. Now, oh, you never know what to expect with these two, do you? Never, ever, ever. And I think I want to talk just as much about those bans as much as the picks. Because Anarchy's taken away, Slash, and then the Scale Bearer. There's so much, I think, like, personal... I know how you play, and I know what you like. And that's why some of these champions are getting removed that way, like, you know, taking away the Slash so that RAISY can't pick it on Molten Fools, for example, but we get to see the Sorlag. You don't see a lot of Sorlag these days, but RAISY has always had a pretty impressive one, so you'll have to see that. Corrupted Keep first, straight up Brawl, we'll see how many frags are going to rack up on that one. Molten Fools for the second of a Galena that ZenAku is bringing to the party, and then there has to be some internal discussion that happens around here, because now it's Visor on Ruins of Sarnath again. Scale Bearer's taken away, and then it's Nyx for ZenAku. So Visor kind of popular today.
Yeah, and I think you called it, really. The big talking point here is both the bans and that Sorlag. I mean, starting in Corrupted Keep, pretty much the most meta champions at the moment. If you want to brawl, you're going to pick the strong and the range. They're good on any maps, basically. But on that Molten, yeah, the Sorlax is really interesting. It almost feels like a little bit of a playstyle pick to combat Zen, but we know RAISY was one of the first people to really invent strategy with the Sorlag, and so interesting to see that coming back in, and it still holds an amazing role in Quake Champions. We just don't see it anywhere enough. And then, yeah, the old dichotomy of the invisibility versus the piercing sight. So it's that game of chicken at that point of who pops it first. So we'll have to see how that one goes. Very rail heavy, I'm sure.
I totally had something to say, but then I saw censored type. Fun fact, ZSX never has to turn on the headlights on his car, and I lost it.
Yo, I miss white QPR graphics. So I'm just bringing it back.
All right, I'm sorry.
Twitch chat, you're a nightmare.
I'm gonna make it quick casting, man. I'm so ashamed of myself.
Yeah, I mean, you know, seeing Corrupted Keep, kind of what I expected. Bolt Falls definitely interested in the Sorlag pick here, but I think Ruins will be interesting as well. Ruins sets ZenAku up to potentially try to get that early lead, and then, you know, Vision or not, if you can't catch your opponent, can be a little tougher. We'll have to see how that will come into play there, but everything else I kind of expect. I'm curious to hear what you all think about predictions overall.
Oh, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I think this is the hardest one to predict because, you know, if this was however long ago it was now when we first saw ZenAku, I think it would be a rather easy prediction, but times have changed. This is not the same player that it once was, and ZenAku could totally beat RAISY. I feel like a 3-0 is unlikely, no matter what. I think a 2-1 is the safest bet, but
I think
how it's gonna go, that's where it's the trickiest to come to terms. But also because I'm a little bit biased and he's got cool tattoos. That's not the only reason. I feel like ZenAku 2-1. I feel like with the shape that he's currently in and how motivated he just continues to be, feels like this is a week for him. He could totally pull this off, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. Anyway, while the two of you talk about it, both of these players are readying up. I'm going to go and join the viewers and leave this matchup with you two fine gentlemen. So thank you. Take it away.
Join the trolling. I'm gonna lean to the lighter side, and I'm gonna pick RAISY 2-1.
All right. Yeah. Well done. Well done, Nick. Very, very nicely done. Yeah. You know, I think I might agree with Ketchup here. Right. I think RAISY's played some really good matches. But you mentioned him kind of reinventing himself, and there's been a slower climb for him, and sometimes that happens, right? You need to dramatically switch your game up enough that it does take a little bit longer to kind of bring yourself back up to the level that you want to be, but then you're hoping that you're able to surpass that level that you were kind of you know, already hitting. So this is just such a big match for not only the team but both of these players, as I know I've said in previous weeks, like, hey, there's still a lot of games left to play overall, but there's kind of a really interesting momentum run here that happens, whoever the victor is. You know, and I think if it does end up being ZenAku, right, I'd say keep an eye on him week to week, because one of the most improved players certainly is dishing it out, and I think a lot of people would be excited to see him in that position.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we look at ZenAku's progression, he's kind of hit a level, right? I remember him getting top 3 at the Maestro LAN and being very happy with that because it was a step up, but maybe he's reached that level where he's got the block against the very best, and so even a victory in the league stage of someone like RAISY could be breaking that barrier and pushing on further. So be really interested to see that. Still going to side with RAISY just because I feel that his aggression can come out, be a game changer here, whereas Zen hasn't got that side to him just yet. But either way, it's going to be close.
So it said RAISY or Pedro Pascal. I can't unsee these, man. Stop doing that, chat. All right, let's go back to it as ZenAku waits for his opponent to come out of that teleporter. And this map is going to be really interesting because already we've seen both players. They're playing that mid, they're playing that long range game. Saw a lot of machine gun coming out from ZenAku early on there, right at the beginning. But both players, huge respect here. Peeker comes out, does a little bit of damage, then immediately goes down. And I would not be surprised to see this one be a little bit low scoring compared to what we're used to. On Corrupted Keep, just going to have a battle near the heavy, but ZenAku not in a great position to be able to do anything there. And we will see RAISY take away with that one. Better stack here. He's just looking for an opportunity. Will RAISY capitalize?
Just happy controlling the match at the moment, keeping that high ground, trying not to mistake a mistake. As I say that, he's pushed a little bit too far, giving away that Mega, and Zen will take that in a heartbeat. And as we know, probably Zen's greatest strength is just that general awareness and map control and just mastering the basics. And if you can do that, you'll beat 95% of players. So that's what he's doing so well.
Yeah. Both players still unanswered frags. That was a great rocket coming out by ZenAku. An orb is going to come out, but it's just a distraction. There's Peeker getting some more damage. And ZenAku keeping that pressure on despite the lower stack. And what was going to happen here at heavy? Jumping over, rocket does hit, but the LG doing enough damage, and he's going to be able to follow up. Great first blood and first frag coming out by RAISY. Might even be able to pick up a second here, but no. Crouching around, sliding around the corner. RAISY now going to position himself down at the bottom, see if he can't get a good shot, and he does. A lot of LG coming out there, and he picks up that mega.
Fairly low on LG ammo, so we definitely can't kill from this position. But just the threat of his stack and positioning, obviously not knowing that on Zen's side, means RAISY does get a full free map. Zen, though, has the position in that mid ground, but RAISY's aggression is just dominating Zen at the moment, forcing him away even from the lights. What is Zen going to do to try and turn the tide? RAISY's just playing it nice and slow, goading Zen out, and he's not even going to try and contest this next round of items.
Really like that positioning there from RAISY to make sure he was safe from Peeker, and then also anything else that ZenAku might throw out there. So RAISY is clearly razor focused here in this one. He's had the better stack throughout most of the match, although that's a testament to ZenAku and his ability to still be able to make moves here despite not really having a whole lot available to him. Ooh, gonna keep those feet up just a little bit, but
just shows how good Zen is, though, at the same time. You know, keeping it 1-0 and scudding the map. As soon as RAISY makes the smallest mistakes, taking away an item. Like, that awareness all the time to keep himself in the game is just huge. Can't make a mistake against ZenAku.
Yeah, I can. Through the telly. I feel like RAISY's got a little bit more perk to his step now. I feel like he's, you know, he's consistently just been super stacked, Dan. Like, he is on top of things from a control perspective. RAISY's doing everything that he needs to. He just hasn't found that open window quite yet. Ooh.
Yeah, this is really interesting. It's almost that Zen has forfeited the map because he knows he can't contest. And he's just waiting for RAISY to make a mistake. Which is, you know, it's perfectly fine at 1-0. He's playing the long game here. He knows that he doesn't want to contest because he'll lose that fight. We'll see how it plays out over the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think that the danger is that you have to be playing perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Like the entire time. RAISY, if he smells blood, I think he's just going to go for it. I also like to see RAISY now kind of saying, okay, well, if you're going to sort of do this dance, I'm just going to peck away with MG damage and then strike like he just did there with the LG. Now, still not within sort of kill range quite yet there, but that's what I would be fearful for ZenAku if he gets caught in a situation like that. But Zen is hitting a lot of these defensive shots. He's keeping up with the pace despite the fact that RAISY is the one setting it. We're halfway through this game. It's only 1-0, but eventually ZenAku is going to have to put himself on the board if he's going to want to find a victory here.
The other interesting point is that RAISY's adjusted to this by altering his pathing from exits from the major items. He's trying not to take the same exit 2 times in a row, because that way Zen can't play on his basic routing, if that makes sense. He can't exploit it. And that's why we're finding this interesting stalemate where RAISY's adjusted to ZenAku's play by just not being predictable himself.
Yeah, it's super fascinating to watch just exactly how ZenAku is attacking this one. RAISY going to get himself a little bit more LG, and if he can keep stealing away some of these lights too. Not going to give a whole lot of options here for ZenAku. Now, he misses that jump, but it actually works out in his favor, and he runs him down, and that was it, right? Like, he probably heard the right. Maybe he didn't even miss the jump. Maybe that was totally intentional, expecting him to come up from the top, and clearly came down from the bottom. Wasn't a whole lot he could do at that point.
Nice.
We get the orb coming out, and now the aggression picking up a little bit, right? So we always talk about, and even Avid getting all the credit for this, Quake being like a boxing match. That was that one hit that dazed ZenAku, and he's like, okay, I need to go in. I need to do some critical damage here. It's exactly what RAISY has managed to pull off.
Exactly. He's won himself a heavy. This is the a big lifeline back into this game, because at least now he can be semi-competitive. He doesn't have an LG though, and that's exactly where RAISY set himself up top, trying to defend that hit scan. Whoa, what a rocket!
Beautifully done. What a recovery. Knew that he was in very bad shape. Had the orb on cooldown. Got it right into the corner where he needed it to be. And manages to stay alive despite a gorgeous, gorgeous rocket placement coming out by ZenAku. But now ZenAku's been able to grab a little bit of control here, and that will make a pretty big difference. Some exit damage there for RAISY as he goes to the grave, and ZenAku puts his first frag on the board. And there's still definitely time here. So, interesting turn of events there despite that frag coming out. Control in ZenAku's hands. How is RAISY going to respond?
Yeah, RAISY has to do some serious damage here as well, otherwise he's got to play exactly the same way Zen has, but he's got timing, he's done so much damage! Zen got a bit greedy, overconfident for the first time he's had some items, and now the question is, what can he do from here? Because 2 minutes to go, he's going to have to go aggressive.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, and one of those bounces that didn't really go in ZenAku's favor. But again, RAISY in 2 of those frags has just surprised his opponent. And that's all he's needed then to pick up an additional frag. So LG coming out as he gets from the top to the bottom. He'll pick up yet another one, 5-1. Clearly, this final scoreline is not going to show just how intense and close this match was, as RAISY is going to just go aggro mode here to clean things up in the final 2 minutes. But quite amazing as they're the orb into the rocket for frag number 7.
It's a little bit of a shame of how quickly that went away from Zen at the end there, because RAISY's position on that heavy was pretty standard defensive position, just playing up on the high level. Zen just didn't check the area, and as I said, was a bit overconfident, having picked up a couple of items. That's typical RAISY things.
Oh man. It's like a movie that you see where you're just like, how do you not see that person right there? Well, there you go. Just, right around the corner. It's going to pop a rocket, and it really doesn't matter at this point. And, we talked about it, though, in those early minutes, ZSX, where the way that ZenAku is choosing to play, and it wasn't necessarily by choice, right? RAISY had early control. ZenAku knew, like, well, I can't just throw my body at these major items.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out well. The problem with how he was doing is that if he wasn't finding those open, if he wasn't getting those big damage opportunities, it was still going to be very difficult. 7-1, the final score on that one. I do think it was closer than that shows, and could have gone either way. It was not until about that 7-minute mark that RAISY kind of ran away with it. But nicely played by both. I think RAISY using orb how he needed to. That save was phenomenal. That could have been a big momentum changer for ZenAku that was just stopped short by RAISY.
Exactly. You could see what Zen was trying to do in that it was 1-0, didn't have any items, so he was just playing this keep away and waiting for RAISY to make a mistake. But that's where credit is due to RAISY, because Zen was still setting up around the items. Yes, he wasn't challenging them, but he was waiting for RAISY to overextend or not check a corner, but that never came. RAISY is incredibly conscious of his opponent's positioning, and if he's not entirely sure himself, see the way in which he was approaching them. It was just careful, and that was limiting any potential defensive shenanigans of ZenAku and forced him away. Now, I don't personally like playing that playstyle, but it takes a lot of discipline as well. I felt that Zen could have been more active on the items, but in his mind, he wanted to keep it at 1-0, try and force a turnaround, then get back in control and build it from there. That didn't work. When he got control, though, that was when he was a little bit careless, when RAISY dropped on him and from above to extend the lead.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough one, but got to reset. We're going on to Molten Falls next, and kind of big question mark here is going to be, how is RAISY going to approach this with the Sorlag? Obviously, ZenAku with the Galena. We see Galena a lot on Molten Falls. We have seen Sorlag on Molten Falls before, but it's kind of been just a little bit outside of the meta bubble as of late. So excited to see what RAISY's going to bring to the table here. as Wenger kind of said, players are now exploring that I've got to be comfortable outside of my box. And I think the greatest point that Wenger made during that interview is that, look, when you get to that final and you've got to play every map and you're going to be forced to potentially play champions that you're not really used to, that's where you've got to really be able to shine. So I love that attitude. I love that approach. I think is absolutely right. And it's not easy, just like he said. It's difficult to do. A lot of time goes into it. And, you know, it's time away from other things that you might be doing, whether that's perfecting the champions that you're best on, etc. So it really does introduce kind of a unique approach to things. I would imagine that every player on Maestro is thinking similarly to that.
But that's also why Rafa was the best for so long, because he was the one that was always forcing himself out his comfort zone. And to Wenger's, just to counter Wenger a little bit, it's not just about best of 7. It's about having the full utility of all the champions that you can, so you can counter your opponent. And that's what Rafa was doing ahead of the game. He was constantly picking these out-of-the-box champions in strategies and innovating as well. So you want to be able to do that to be the very, very best, which Wenger is.
Like no one ever was.
There you go.
Yep. All right, here we go. It's Molten Core. Did I just say Molten Core?
You did what the...
All right, boys, come on. There's going to be 100 DKB points handed out after this raid. Get ready for it. We're live. We're starting through RAISY's POV. Oh, you know how it is.
Love it.
Okay. All right, so RAISY already cleared out some of those totems. We're going to have a fight here just above that heavy spit coming out, but a lot of damage dished out there by ZenAku. He's ticking away just a little bit, but both players peeling off. Get it ready for the next one. Heavy still not picked up, and Mega is up as well. There it is.
Sorry, I'm composing myself. Step. RAISY picking up the items nice and slow. Got all the weaponry. ZenAku on the other side of the map. Trying to set up his totem fortress down in the catacomb. What is happening today?
This is why I always just say, you know, like, we're on Keep, we're on Molten, because, you know, I'm like...
You can't...
There's too many Moltens in this in game. It's like, you know, it's easy to get mixed up. More dots. All right. 1 minute and 30. Slower game, but I'm not really surprised by that, right? ZenAku looking to get his totems down to be able to set a potential trap that way. Oh, this could be interesting, as RAISY has no idea where his opponent is. Now he does, as a rocket just comes flying out of the side.
Ooh,
oh, direct into
combo.
a rail. He's looking for that follow-up there. Yeah, through the teleporter, launching himself with that nice little rocket jump, and that was beautifully done by RAISY, taking up a big, big first frag there in the first 2 minutes.
And he cleared out all of those totems. That's 2 minutes of work from Zen's side going to waste. You could see the thought process again, trying to set the trap, but it's always going to be dangerous up against a super stacked Sorlag. You can see what RAISY does so well with the Sorlag is use the tempo to push the aggression.
Oh, I thought that might be a vertical rocket. Yeah, unfortunate, but 2 nice bounces. I actually thought ZenAku not getting hit with that LG at the beginning there might have actually done a bit better, but RAISY with a very, very nice recovery on that one. 2-0 now. And I really like how he's kind of approaching this. Spits up in 5, is waiting for it. It's not going to come before this initial battle. Another nice double rocket bounce. This time he's going to have to back off. He's got to be careful here. Don't get rails. Going to get ready for that Mega.
Ooh, I thought he was going to get bounced over there, but ZenAku gets away with both major items here. RAISY playing the positional game. Just long time before the major items. Zen's taking this period to take a bit of a breather, do the long road round. Doesn't have a rail though. This is why he's being slightly careful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Does work his way high ground.
It really is incredible how limited you can be. No rail on this. I mean, he's picked it up now, but that can be scary, right? Like, you're definitely going to limit where you're going on the map and where you're exposing yourself. RAISY dropping down, perfect rail on that one. And those types of openings are exactly what he is looking for here. He's going to scoop up that light. Knows exactly where his opponent is. Looking for him at the top. Sees the rail. Confirms it's there. But they trade. He's going to go for it again. Tri-bolt and the spit.
Yeah, look at the zoning. It's insane. Zen has to retreat there. So much damage coming out. Zen, you can see him double back there just to get the exact timing. Just he wants to keep that pressure on. He's managed to stabilize this game after a really poor start.
Yeah, I mean, RAISY's got just phenomenal map awareness right now. He knows exactly where ZenAku is most of the time. And it's definitely paying off here as RAISY make his way through. A little bit of damage there, but look, I mean, again, knowing his opponent was down, pretty good chance he was going to come up there. Goes back to the teleporter, nailed with the rocket coming through, and maybe this mistake might be an open opportunity for ZenAku to try to make something happen here, but that was unfortunate there, and ZenAku played that one nicely.
Yeah, he did. I definitely thought that was a bad situation. He got the full duration of the tick on, the spit away. It wasn't enough. Zen's damage output was strong, and it all came down to making sure he got the timing on that heavy. Stole that away, and was able to take a fight.
Yeah, halfway through this game now. One frag, and one frag doesn't mean a whole lot here. Both players looking for an opportunity to open things up a bit. ZenAku, some good damage there versus RAISY. Armor stack is gone. Looking for him to go through that teleporter, but he didn't. Oh, the rocket right to the back. And then the rocket jump up. Oh my gosh. Man, you got to be a confident player to do something like that, and RAISY does it with a flawless execution, 3-1. It just seems like he's constantly surprising ZenAku here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Zen misheard him, but exactly that. RAISY wasn't being particularly quiet. They just completely and awkwardly got it past each other, and now Zen's falling down a slight second too early, but he's got the timing to perfection. Looked like he didn't have enough of stack to live that out, Wheat, but keeping himself in this game with pinpoint timing once again. Good connection for the rail. Look how low RAISY is, and we can see part of the challenge as to why heavies aren't picked as much. Just ZenAku has 57% LG.
Yeah.
They're very easy to hit in this meta.
They are very easy to hit. And now we've got a one frag game yet again, where ZenAku's been very cool, calm, and collected here. RAISY's had some nice recoveries, but ZenAku looks like he's picking up that speed just a little bit here. Oh, missed rail opportunity there. Wasn't really there to find. And I'm still surprised he didn't win that fight over there by heavy, but I think he probably was too. So we're getting ready for another heavy battle. ZenAku in a great position here. He's going to be able to pick it up uncontested. He's got full control now.
Yeah, we got almost the reverse of the last map, but RAISY's the one just playing off of the map, not even contesting these items. Always to say that he's going an aggressive big rocket, but it's just not enough. Nowhere near enough, in fact. Then we'll tick down, but there we go, picks it back up. The only saving grace for RAISY is that he's constantly been taking these totems off the map, as I say. There's a combo. Oh, this Sorlag's got to be going down now. He rocket jumps up, but just skirts the corner in time. RAISY, though, will have nothing on the map to restack as Zen, once again, has both these major items on lockdown. And at least one of the lights as well. So RAISY has just the solitary light over by the Mega. Nothing else, Sweet.
Yeah. And that means that you are absolutely right that it is very similar, but a switched scenario as to what we saw in the last game. And now heavy up again. ZenAku, complete control. Now, one thing I would say is that RAISY, we've seen him before, he can be, you know, master trapper. So if ZenAku is the shaman, then dropping those totems, then RAISY, you know, is our hunter here, as he's looking to set up some sort of trap to try to take this back from ZenAku. But we're a minute and a half in, and it's tie game. We could very well go to overtime here.
Yeah, but RAISY must be a survival hunter in Classic, just completely useless at this point in time.
Oh. All right, final minute. Coming up. And I feel like this is definitely going to go to overtime here. I don't think RAISY's going to make any sort of elaborate, risky move here. Maybe try to budge his way into one of these major items here once we've hit time, but ZenAku is on the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious, but he's playing for that overtime. It's always going to be next frag wins at this point in game, and ZenAku knows how healthy he is, but the same challenge that he faced in the last map for RAISY was, I can't make a mistake. I have to know where my opponent is. I have to be cautious pushing around the map. Big fight coming out here. RAISY tries to sneak on in, but double rail coming out from Zen. Not enough damage from RAISY either. The spit misses, so the information is lacking from RAISY's perspective. He's trying. Oh, that's a critical rail, though.
Huge critical. Oh, nice rocket. Open up this. 7 seconds left. Is it going to end right here? Are we going into overtime? Another trade on the rails. 35 points of health. And now ZenAku will recover on this, but RAISY coming right in. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
All because of that rail.
Wow.
And that's why that playstyle can work. If you don't give away a frag and you take your one opportunity, then that's why it works.
Wow. I mean, for someone who is so meticulous and safe, that was a massive risk to go after him on that. Like, yes, ZenAku was very low. RAISY knew it, but with totems in play too, that was a gamble, right? He threw the dice, and it was like, I have to hit a 7 here, and he got it, you know?
Yeah, you're right. As soon as RAISY hit that drive-by rail, you just got to get out of there. You got to accept the fact you're not getting it. And you could tell what he wanted to do was to try and hit a rail, but this positioning meant he was vulnerable because there was two exits for ZenAku, and RAISY could cover them both, and he just needed to get out before RAISY had the opportunity to deal damage. Well, hindsight's 2020, but incredibly well played by Zen throughout. But again, RAISY being RAISY had the trickery to keep away, make sure the scoreline didn't accelerate. And as soon as the pressure needed to come through, that's what Solag's great at, barreling through that doorway.
I mean, when you also consider just how much control ZenAku had throughout that match, especially in the latter half, like that is not how I expected that game to end. I thought if we were going into sudden death, it was going to be a long sudden death, but it was not. I'm like really happy actually to see that kind of explosive play come out from RAISY, because we know he's capable of it, but that's not necessarily what we've seen from him in the past, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna try to take the much safer approach to the victory. But that was 1,000% instincts there to go for it, and I've got to give him a lot of props for that that final frag. That was very nice.
And I know he had a rail, so it's somewhat easier, but the difference between playstyle in map 1 and map 2 in terms of defense was RAISY was constantly pressuring the item. He wasn't going for it, he wasn't hard committing for it, but he was pressuring the item, whether it was spit, whether it was making moves, it was forcing ZenAku to make earlier moves onto the item. And often RAISY was doing enough damage to stall any further aggression from ZenAku. Plus he had the sword lag, so you could use the speed, but that presence around the item meant it wasn't a free game for ZenAku as much as it looked it, because he had to constantly be aware of where RAISY was, whereas on the previous map, ZenAku was just retreating and wasn't making himself felt the item, so RAISY could reposition earlier and quicker. So that was a big difference for me as well.
Yep. And now we're going to Ruins, and we're going to have RAISY on the visor. We got to see Wenger on the visor earlier, and ZenAku on the Nyx. And clearly a very interesting matchup here of champions. What do you think here? RAISY's taking the series, but it still means a lot to try to close it out with at least one map won. Do you think that ZenAku can pull it off here?
100%. I mean, yeah, he's been in every single one of these maps. I feel that on the defense, Zen is too negative. Maybe he's not confident against RAISY. I don't know what it is, but it feels like he's too negative. When he got control, as you saw in that map, he's able to stamp his authority. But if you're going to be a Nyx on the defense, you gotta be proactive. You gotta take strong positions and fight with your rail. You can't just hide and play the plus bat. So I do want to see him push out a little bit, find that balance. But we know RAISY as well plays an amazing visor. So it's going to be a tough one.
Awesome. Well, here we go. Map number 3. We kill Nyxia. We get to put her head on a stake in town. So get ready for it, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go as we are live this time through the eyeballs of RAISY. And again, he's going to do exactly what Wenger did, which is not pop vision right away. He waits for it, gets his first set, and now knows exactly where his opponent is and probably what he picked up. You think this is going to start off slow, or we're going to see some explosiveness happen right out of the gate?
Not now that rail's been hit. No, I think it's going to be fairly explosive. It does force ZenAku bound to the bottom. It's going to come down to who can force out or play the rail game better, really. See RAISY already setting a big delay between the items as well. He wants to lay his mark. He wants to now take the rotation away from ZenAku.
Ooh. RAISY actually expecting the double hack from ZenAku.
Nice.
And ZenAku with his second rail off of that one.
What?
What? His third rail vision popped, but not so that he can get an advantage so he can stay alive. And a little tickle will do it. Be careful.
Well, now Zen on the Nyx has the full control, and that's what he wants to see. Wonder if he'll use aggressive Ghost Walk. Oh, there he goes. He knew that, yeah, RAISY would be hiding through the stairway, just messed up his movement a little bit. Can't close that gap, and now has to retreat and play more defensive. Yeah,
this is a scary time here for RAISY. Once again, ZenAku with some good... Oh, wow. But the equalizer? I think so. The rocket double rail. ZenAku managing to get out of there with his life. But that opens up a lot of possibilities. Another one coming out, and RAISY's got to be going for this one. There he is, barreling in, sees his opponent drop down. He's not going to chase after him. Looking for the shot on the come around. And now Heavy is up, and RAISY's going to have the opportunity to take some map control.
He does, yeah. He knows he's missed out on his opportunity to get the frag, but he's done the hard work of getting control back. And there is a huge split between these two major items now.
Not only that, but I think RAISY now with that control, unless we see something like another aggressive ghost block, I'm really curious how he's going to be going in. And I guess he'll use it on the way out, defensive, but he's going to chase him down, rocket on the exit, and kind of negates that Heavy. But it's still in it. Now both players, LG out. Through the floor. RAISY on the board. First frag. A little messy, but he got the job done.
Yeah, I was about to praise Zen once again on his impeccable timing. He just seems to have this sixth sense for when the items are always being able to steal them away. But that time it was not to be. Great push by RAISY, just knowing the limits of where he was at. See Zen again setting up for this Mega nice and early. Sure, he heard that, so now has to retreat. And similar to the Death Knight in a roundabout way, once you hear that piercing sight, you kind of just gotta leave because you know your opponent knows exactly where you are, so it just forces you away from where the area you're protecting.
Oh, nice. Good pressure. Continue to be put on by ZenAku. It's basically the most that he could do right there, knowing that he's not going to be able to grab that Heavy. Up the jump pad. That's a little scary. He had to have known that he was there, and ZenAku is going to capitalize on what will be a big mistake there by RAISY. Not only giving up the first frag, but now tying this game back up. Questionable. Maybe he didn't see him. I don't know. I find that a little hard to believe. But nice LG damage. Just going to go in after it. Could this be another mistake? It is. Allows ZenAku to get a second frag there. Not quite halfway through, but big momentum shift now for Zen. All right.
I am very confused,
Why?
None of that. I don't know. I just feel like none of those plays by RAISY really made any sense. But it's back to 2-2, so maybe some normality has kind of come back as Zen is. Wait, no!
Oh no!
All right.
Oh my God, that could have been so bad, RAISY. He manages to not get blasted in the head with that close range shot. Oh my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have children in the room, remember this is M-rated game. You might need to leave, and that's why right there. That was brutal. Brutal.
Kind of feels like they've got bored of playing sensible Quake, have just gone FFA now. But I'm guessing after that chaos has subsided, we will get some semblance of structure back to this duel.
Brutal. Just so brutal. Oh. Well, I mean, 3-frag lead, that's huge right now. Halfway through this game. And with that vision, too, it's going to make it really hard for ZenAku to not face this head on. As much as he would like to set up some sort of a trap, I think it's going to be pretty tough, and RAISY's already going to be playing some games here as he is definitely playing in-game hide-and-seek right now.
He is indeed. Got his piercing sight back, so feeling a bit more confident now. With his starting stack is all he really cared about. He got the timing on the 2 items. That was the main objective that period of time, as well as just getting the in.
He knew he'd ghost walk.
Yeah.
Good read on that one.
There you go. Really nice.
Oh. That was great decision right there.
Yeah.
Rocket jump up to the top. Opponent wasn't going to be able to get there. Mega spawn, just perfect. I mean, can Zen bring this back like 3 minutes, 10 seconds? It's like a pretty tall order.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get a refrag on this particular map. So if he can get a clean frag, absolutely. But at the moment, the way RAISY's playing, it feels like he's reading him.
Oh my God!
There you go.
Oh my God, he's playing out of his freaking mind right now. That was insane.
He just feels like he's enjoying it now. All of a sudden, something just switched, and now he's just having fun. Yeah. This is definitely RAISY having fun, and I don't know how fun it is on ZenAku's side. There's going to be some frustration coming out here, but that rocket rail, like I mean, just phenomenal. As that happened, I was just saying, like, I don't know that Zen can bring this one back, and I think that it's been answered at this point. We got about the 2-minute warning, but yeah.
Piercing sight down, but unless he pulls out a couple miracle frags here in the next 20-25 seconds, I just don't see this happening.
No, and I feel that RAISY almost knows it's won, and it might not be the case, but it kind of felt like he just took a shift into defensive, almost to see how would I defend against a Nyx on this map. Just almost trialing it a little bit. He had opportunities to get back some controller items, but instead he's just favoring this keep away information game. As I said, almost testing his defensive capability. Yeah.
I mean, we had that early, as you said, I think well-described chaos that took place there, but RAISY almost seemed to feed off of that a bit and took that into the latter half of the game. It was almost empowering to him, and he's going to walk away with not only the series victory, but in what I think is a little surprising, I'm not going to lie, in the 3-0 victory. I mean, we knew RAISY's capable of doing it, but again, talking about the improvements that we've seen out of ZenAku and how he's approaching some of these games, clearly it's showing that RAISY is turning up things on his side, right? He's looking real good.
Nice double back there. Just a little bit of extra damage stopping Zen. It's definitely small chance if he could get a frag right there. Now he's having to chase. It's just wasting time and stack. Yeah, now it's over. Now it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a interesting series. Definitely interesting.
Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, we saw so many different kind of styles and approaches coming out of both of these players. I think what is really interesting is sort of the slow burn that RAISY brought to the table. Right, really low scoring game to start there in map number 1, but then RAISY kind of ran away with it. Really close in that second game, but once again, kind of biding his time. RAISY walks away with it, and then that last one, that was RAISY's like, okay, I'm warmed up now, right? It was like he was playing Quake with these 100-pound weights on both of his arms, and then he's like, okay, I guess I'm going to take these weights off for this third map, and then we get to see his full potential. But let's bring Ketchup back in and see what he thought of this series. Ketchup, what's up? Did you enjoy that?
I did. It didn't go the way I expected, and I feel like, yeah, that's similar for a lot of people. I really expected there to sort of be a bit more of a divide, I suppose, with the scoreline. Like the 3-0 is kind of like the last thing I thought we'd see there. But it's a testament to RAISY and RAISY's forever continuous climb as well. I do wonder sort of what much of a difference, if at all, the fact that they play together so often in practice may have made, you know, because when RAISY gets really comfortable with someone, that's where those moments of sort of weirdness and chaos, kind of like what we saw in that third map, a lot of that happens when RAISY's fully comfortable with an opponent, right? When he starts to have fun, when he starts to let loose, I suppose. Even moments like that, it's like, well, what's going on with that? What's going on with that? But I feel like RAISY's just going to be feeling good at the end of the day because we're able to get a victory against an opponent that is highly respected and highly contested, I think. Being able to take out ZenAku now is a good time to do it. Because, you know, it's only week 4, isn't it?
Yep. It's still very, very early on in the overall standings. And as we've said, right, you're going to have to face the great players along the way. I think that the bigger deal is that the pool of great players has clearly increased and continues to do so from season to season. So where, you know, coming in, you know, top 3 might actually shake things up even more, the fact that, well, your top 7 are going to be pretty nasty, like pretty deadly, no matter how you cut it. So it just means we got a really exciting season left to go, right? If this is the caliber of games, imagine what we're going to be seeing in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, today's been nuts. As we talked about, I think the only blowout was Fron Rafa, and every other game, every other series, most of which could have gone either way, which is insane. You know, I think a couple of stages ago, there was a great divide in the league where you had a very good understanding of who's going to beat who. But now, as you just said, it's carnage for most of these series, and every map is well fought. So, yeah, it's a really, really interesting point that we're at. And again, there are a fair amount of 3-0s there, but virtually all of them were so close, especially that Kilson.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you would look at, and I remember even saying this during the match itself, you'd look at the scoreboard and go, Kilson 3-0, Cygib, yeah, that makes sense. But those matches did not even come close to being the expected. And Cygib was just one of a few players that really stood out today. Tox was able to show that there is still some serious threat, and especially with Tox, development to the game plan. We were seeing an element of, I guess, like, being reserved that we're not used to seeing from Tox at all, and that's going to be echoed by using Galena, of course. But this is what I love about Pro League, is that it is that player progression, someone's own personal journey where they're going to refine, they're going to adapt, they're going to change this and that, because right now the talent pool is bigger than it's ever been, and it is making for a very exciting season. And I'm just happy that it's only week 4, because it means we've got an absolute ton of Quake to keep playing and keep watching, so it's great.
Completely agree. It's still very early. A lot is gonna happen. I mean, getting to finally see Strong Sage, I think it was a real treat, right? Even after the end of last season, but like, look out for this guy, and has followed through with that. So it's great. Good day to be a Quake fan.
I have just been told that we've got our interview ready to go.
Nice.
So it's time for the man of the hour, I believe. Hello, RAISY. Congratulations. How are you feeling?
Hello, everyone. I feel really good. I'm very happy that I managed to 3-0. Even though it was a little bit shaky here and there, but I kept my calm and I turned it back around in my favor.
So, honestly, I'll kickstart this, I suppose. Similar to when you would face off against Wenger, it would always be a bit of a talking point that when you're playing in tournament against someone that you practice against regularly, does it make changes? Does it alter how you approach? And I think that exact same question applies to this matchup, because ever since ZenAku got picked up by Maestro, it felt like the two of you would play together quite often for practice. Now, do you think that did change your approach here today? Did you have to try anything new? Did you have to go against the grain a bit? I mean, run me through how you prepared for this matchup.
Well, yes, since ZenAku is a member of Maestro Gaming, I have been regularly practicing with him, especially in the last couple of months where he was living at my place for a while, which he is not anymore. But during that time we have played very often, sometimes during tournaments, other times just for practice. And so I got familiar with the way he plays, which characters he prefers and how he uses them, and also little things like how he sometimes forces himself onto the item just to get the control, and I kind of used this knowledge against him and just sacrificed some of the items and lost out of control, but I played safe, didn't risk it, didn't try to go all in some of the fights. Rather, I just postponed the fight for some time later when it was more advantageous for me. And so I kept this approach, and sometimes it worked well, other times I actually was out of control for quite a while, and it was difficult to get back into control, or at least even weaken him somehow. But overall it was working well, and I managed to win all 3 maps, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, wonderful. Well done.
Hey, RAISY. I like your new look, by the way.
Hi, thanks.
Bit of a two-part question, I guess. Firstly is, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on just the state of heavies in the meta at the moment. I think we've seen this season they've fallen off a cliff a little bit with regards to pick rates. So just a little bit your thoughts there. And then secondary, then just talk us through the thought process of picking Sorlag on the second map. Obviously, we saw it worked and understand some of the reasoning, but just want to hear your thoughts as to why you picked that champion.
So for heavies being the meta or not, I guess depends on the matchup and the players. If you know someone who is struggling to deal with a heavy champion, then obviously it's going to be more favorable to play a heavy against that person than against someone who is more comfortable handling them. Also depends on the matchup, as in the map and what champion you're playing against. Sometimes it's actually really good in favor of the heavies, other times not so much. But as for being Sorlag on Molten, he was the one who banned first for the map. I don't exactly remember what he banned, but I know that some characters were still in the pool that I didn't really want to play against as a medium champ or a light champ. So instead I just went with Sorlag because I am comfortable on Sorlag. I know how to move well with her. I know her limits. I don't try to over push them. I respect that even though he's a heavy, he's also easy to hit. And then just try to use her ability, the acid spit, in ways where it was like dealing massive amounts of damage instead of just area denial. So I kind of used it more so for dealing damage than to gain control. And so it worked, but it wasn't easy. It was a very close match, and it could have gone either way, but I managed to play her well enough to win the map.
So I want to actually continue the kind of conversation around map 2, because when we were reaching that point. You mentioned you were kind of out of control a lot during that match, and I think ZenAku was doing a great job. Up till that point, as we were about to hit sudden death, I think both ZSX and I were thinking this might be a longer sudden death. But in reality, you landed that rail and something clearly clicked for you, and you went on the attack. So can you just walk us through that final moment and final frag? What was the thing that made you kind of flip the switch and go, okay, now it is? Was it just that one rail you landed and feeling like you're in a spot to be able to get that final frag to win the game, or what was it?
For Molten, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I wasn't really looking at the timer. I was more looking at opportunities of when to try to poke at him. I kept my ear out on timings for the major items, so I was aware of when he'll be where, and I tried to combine that with possibilities of, after him picking up the item, he's gonna go this way or that way or whatever, and then just cut him off, try to surprise him. Many of the times I managed to sneak up on him and land a rail that he wasn't even expecting, so it was unreturned damage. And so I just tried to keep looking I just kept looking for these opportunities to deal massive amount of damage, and eventually it turned out that there was one situation where I landed 2 or maybe even 3 rails in a row, and maybe just one was in return, and so all of a sudden I equalized the stacks, but I had some small armors, some bubbles to fall back on, and then I became more aggressive to force myself onto the next rotation of major items. And as soon as that happened and he still hasn't got rid of my stack, I just went more aggressive and pushed myself as much as I could, and ended up killing him with the LG in the rail room. But yes, that final rail at Mega was also something that made me okay, this is the opportunity. I must not let it slip out of my hands. He's weak, I'm fully stacked, let's go.
Awesome. Thank
All
you.
right.
Congratulations. Great
Cool.
series.
Thank you so much, RAISY. An absolute
RAISY.
pleasure, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again. So it's wonderful to have you, and we will let you go for now.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
Right.
Gee.
Well, lovely people at home, and the lovely people joining me on this virtual desk. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for. But you know what? I'm glad that we keep getting these real good matches in. We've got a stacked lineup every week. There's so much Quake to get through. And again, only week 4. So there's plenty more Quake where that came from. So I want to extend a huge thank you to ZSX, DJ Wee. Always a pleasure to be doing this with you, and it's always a great time. There's way too many thanks always to give, but the big one for me is always the production team behind the scenes, right? Making the wheels turn and doing longer hours than the rest of us, that's for sure. But this has been our latest installment of the Quake Pro League. Thank you all so much for watching. Get involved in social media, download the game, jump in, and have a really good time with the rest of us. Until next time, take care, much love, and goodbye. Quake lives on.
Peace.